magnetism, the mystery, mystique, aura. I don't think this generation has it. I think they are wonderful artists. But do they have that magic and mystery that I grew up, when I grew up and I was at a party and Mr. Bachchan walked in, Mr. Dilip Kumar walked in, Mr. Shah Rukh Khan walked in. It was like heads turning, I've seen it.
Yeah.
Aura, like everybody like literally is feeling the presence of, that was power.
Yeah.
That was stardom.
Yeah.
That was glory.
Honestly, this is the most unpredictable profession in its truest sense. In one instance, you release a series presumably thinking you have been accurate with historical events, and then you have an entire ecosystem raging against you. In one instance, you are promoting your upcoming film, and just a few days prior to the release, you realize that it has not been approved by the censor board with an official certificate. The longevity of acting careers is always subject to extreme highs and lows. You might be feeling like the king of the world in one instance, where the public is showering you with absolute love and adulation, and in another, couldn't even care less with your movie releasing in the upcoming weekend. What's however become very clear is that the generation after the 90s and the batch of actors that followed, including Hrithik Roshan, Shahid Kapoor, Ranbir Kapoor and Ranveer Singh, the actors who have come after this, especially in the 2010s, have really found it tough to generate a genuine fan following with the audience. Some of the actors are finding themselves in such faulty ground regarding their acting careers that they are recently just subject to several of their projects getting shelved, with the producers just noticing their dwindling financial pull at the box office. I wanted to make this video and understand why we haven't had a string of stars produced in the new generation of actors. Is it because of the accessibility of celebrities who have also pivoted to become social media influencers? Is it because of the evolution of the audience, where the availability of information simply has removed the aura once stars possessed? More importantly, do we have to deal with the harsh truth that the new generation just lack the personalities of what makes a star, warranting the unanimous love of the public? Is the sense of mystery and aura simply missing in this generation? While I will be referencing actors who are dealing with dwindling acting careers in Bollywood and what specifically may have gone wrong with them along the way, I do want to acknowledge a few actors who are still navigating their way in the ecosystem, where there just seems to be a non-existence of stars and a huge dependence on popular IPs, only motivating audiences to theatres. I'm going to first interject a mini rant, so please bear with me. What makes me sad among the stars, especially the two actors I have immense respect for, Shah Rukh Khan and Hrithik Roshan, is that they really space out their films with large breaks in the middle, making me feel like they don't capitalize on the momentum they have so brilliantly built up with the audience. I am not saying that one needs to be as saturated as Akshay Kumar, but 1 or 2 films a year is something I believe the audience deserves from these stars, who are honestly aging as well. Hrithik has been breaking my heart with his regular appearances in ads, including those of Pan Masala and betting ads, and I only have War 2 to look forward to. Similarly, with the massive year that Shah Rukh Khan had last year, I assumed that we would at least see him in 2025. But now with King scheduled to release in 2026, and that too with the unpredictability of Sujoy Ghosh as a director, I don't even know whether the wait is going to be worth it. These are two actors I believe really do need to diversify beyond the larger-than-life roles in action films and the YRF spy universe, and not have anxiety about the box office pressure. Controlled budgets but a diversity of roles is, I think, the least the audience deserves from these two legends. Going back to the newer generation, among the women, I think Alia Bhatt and Deepika Padukone definitely still pique the interest of the theatre-going audience, even in their respective solo releases, something that may be true for Shraddha Kapoor post the massive reception of Stree 2. While Ranveer Singh has recently dealt with the biggest lump in his career, I have to tell you from inside sources, what I have learned from all the details regarding the project with Aditya Dhar, you will be assured that this man is going to return with an absolute bang in a high-octane action film across continents. Trust me, it's going to be an absolute wild ride. I think actors navigating their position well are Rajkumar Rao and Vicky Kaushal, both having critically and financially successful films in the last 2 years. And when you look at Varun Dhawan's lineup, it's absolutely stacked with several of the titles having the potential to hit it out of the park. This is true for Ranbir as well, associating with projects that are going to be projected on a huge scale and definitely has the interest of the audience. I mean, no matter what skepticism you may have regarding the project on whether the makers will pull it off, but we all know everyone is tuning in for Animal Park and Ramayan on the very first day. Now that I have got the actors out of the way who are still somewhat staying afloat, I really want to talk about actors who are struggling. Tiger Shroff. This is a classic case of a lack of evolution by an actor and not realizing that you cannot be a one-trick pony throughout your career. You created such a niche for yourself by having the ability to physically execute action sequences none of your contemporaries can pull off, barring Vidyu Jamwal. But when you stick to what works once and never venture into doing anything different, the disconnection between the audience and the actor is inevitable. While there was still promise with the blockbuster War, where Tiger showcased his ability in glimpses as a sinister villain, it has been more of the same mediocre BS ever since the pandemic, leaving Tiger almost high and dry in terms of work now, with a small supporting role in Singham and a Baghi 4 to look forward to. Are these really projects that will change his fate? I don't think so. Siddharth Malhotra. This man really became the heartthrob with his first film, and he had everything going for him from an objective aesthetic point of view, especially looking like the quintessential charming male lead for Hindi films. Even though Siddharth ventured into various genres of films, including thrillers, action, and rom-coms, his lack of range as an actor has always been widely known and called out. What sadly happened in a career spanning 12 years is that there has been minimal improvement in this range, still clearly lacking versatility, especially if you compare it to the batch of actors he was launched with. With some movies getting shelved, Indian Police Force being an absolute train wreck, and Yodha financially failing, Siddharth seems to be slightly lost regarding his place as a male lead in Hindi cinema. Sara Ali Khan. Talk about spectacular first impressions and absolutely letting go of all that goodwill that was built up initially in the span of just a few years. Sara had a phenomenal debut with Hindi cinema. She was absolutely adored for her wit, charm, and educated responses with the media, and people were of the impression that she is definitely going to be a talent to be reckoned with. But as more films followed, the sheer lack of ability as an actor got further exposed, jarringly obvious in movies like Coolie Number 1 and Love Aajkal. The smokescreen got lifted and only mediocrity has followed in Sara's film career. The system will still propel her in order for us to acknowledge and appreciate the bare minimum, but it's definitely not good business when you're betting on someone that's clearly lacking the acting chops. Siddhant Chaturvedi. This year is the make it or break it year for Siddhant Chaturvedi, and I'll tell you exactly why. Talk about first impressions again, Gully Boy had become a sensation in 2019, and while everyone appreciated the main cast and the music, MC Sher played by Siddhant was an absolute rage. This man had such magnetic energy, you thought the sky was the limit, but his acting performances, while associated with some commendable films, have been a hit and a miss. People calling out his limited range in films like Gehraiyan and Kho Gaye Hum Kahan, especially in portions where the actor has to be extremely vulnerable and emotional. The system for an outsider like Siddhant has been supportive though, investing in him as a lead in the upcoming action film Yudra and a Dharma-produced film Dhadak 2. But as the industry is ruthless for outsiders, it will be shocking if the system invests in him further if these two ventures do not work out. Aditya Roy Kapoor. This man had all the characteristics to become a male lead who can especially pivot to a star with his female fan following. I mean, the man has not only the looks but clearly had the acting chops too, absolutely killing it in ventures like Ashiki 2, and for me personally being extremely impressive in a polarizing film like Fitur. But everyone equates Aditya to have a very nonchalant attitude regarding his own career, clearly having a screen presence but not having a ruthless work ethic to make it as a big star in Hindi cinema. There was hope with a comeback with a financial success like Malang, but Om and Gumrah were nothing short of embarrassing, bringing him back to square one and with little to no hope in terms of catapulting himself as a talent to be taken seriously. Bhumi Pednekar. This is an actress that I had huge hopes for because of the time when she was launched. Not only did she prove herself to be a talent in terms of her acting ability, but also broke the confines of what a female lead in a commercial movie should look like. Bhumi seems to have got a great eye for the kind of script she would associate with. A critically proficient film like Soncharaiya would be balanced with commercial hits like Bala and Pati Patni Aur Wo. I still love some of the choices she is making with films like Bhakshak and Bheed, but there seems to be a pivot that the actor has made in order to fit the mold of being a commercial lead with scripts that mostly focus on the aesthetic versus something compelling, something that we saw with an awful film like Thank You for Coming. I hope Bhumi proves me otherwise because she has nothing officially announced in the future and there is little to no connection she has with the ticket purchasing public. Ishan Khattar. Again, an actor that showed great promise and has had spurts of commendable performances in his first movie Beyond the Clouds and the series A Suitable Boy. However, Ishan, ever since his commercial launch with Dhadak, somehow has just not fit the mold of a leading hero in Hindi cinema. The physical presence and stature still has a very boyish charm, and while he is exceptional as a dancer, big production companies have not really considered him to be in the reckoning for leading roles. I think Ishan himself has acknowledged the same and has made a pivot to make himself available for international projects, especially as they are more receptive to representation across the board in their projects. I hope this pivot works out for him the same way it did for Ali Fazl's career. Ayushmann Khurrana. This is a man who was ruling in the 2010s. He almost disrupted the system, being termed as Mr. ROI. His small budget, socially conscious comedies were all the rage with the audience, and people genuinely look forward to an Ayushmann Khurrana theatrical release. But Ayushmann has not been as fortunate post the pandemic, with his films garnering little to no attention in theatres barring Dream Girl 2, which capitalized on the existing IP and, if I was to be honest, was an absolute show content-wise. Ayushmann has presumably signed Border 2, which is going to be a huge ensemble cast and is joining the horror universe with Maddock. So you never know, we might be seeing a commercial comeback for Ayushmann in the next year or so. Janhvi Kapoor. This is an actor who got a lot of criticism in her brief acting stint. What has stayed consistent regarding Janhvi Kapoor and her performances is that people acknowledge her ability to emote and express, but what has always faltered in her roles is her diction and dialogue delivery. The lack of improvement in what has been consistently pointed out as her demerit has led to the audience not really being excited for film ventures in the theatre starring Janhvi. Mostly her appearances were restricted to digital releases that garnered acclaim, but the theatrical runs for both Millie and Ulaj have been disastrous. Janhvi is now pivoting towards Telugu cinema in huge commercial films as a means to connect with the audience on a ground level, much like how Telugu heroines like Ilyana and Kajal Agarwal became popular. We will only have to wait and see whether such a strategic move will benefit her, as her Hindi film stint at the movies has been rather mixed, if I were to be kind. Arjun Kapoor. Contrary to present and popular belief, Arjun Kapoor actually had a solid first impression with the audience. People genuinely thought that Arjun had all the signs to be a talent people will take seriously, especially when you reflect on the critical and commercial reception of his films Ishaqzade and Two States. Undoubtedly, a sense of complacency did follow, with Arjun physically also changing over the years, but what especially got exposed was a lack of range in several of his performances, exposed in the worst way possible with the period epic Panipat. With a brief glimmer of hope critically with Sandeep or Pinky Farrar, let's be honest, it's been countless forgettable performances after the other. However, the film industry is really putting a lot of faith in the man, playing one of the main antagonists in the upcoming Singham film, a huge budget, a film anticipated by many, and I genuinely believe that this should be a make it or break it moment for Arjun Kapoor and his career, because he is lucky to have been handed over so many projects despite so many duds in his career. And that was the video, guys. Write down in the comments below, why do you think we don't have stars more often in the new generation of actors that follow? Please don't forget to follow me on Instagram. The handle's right in front of you. Follow me at JammyPants4. Also, please support us by smashing the like button and subscribing to our channel for weekly content ahead. Thank you for watching.